welcome to another day in the Milky Way. And tonight we got a great show with our howling crowd in the back. And thank you. And with my co-host, Nina the Mystic, welcome to the show.
Great to be here again, Robert.
Yep, and tonight we're talking about something that's near and dear to everybody's heart. And it really reflects on not just us, but our children. We're going to be talking about children tonight. And if you are a parent or you mentor a child, or heck, it goes down to the part where you were a child. And this system that's been in place has been in place for a long, long time. And so we're going to explore some of that tonight. Nina, you've had kids, you got grandkids. How do you feel about this subject we're going to be talking about children manipulation, their stolen, innocence?
Yeah, that is a subject that's, sort of been coming out a lot lately, isn't it? When you're finding out about, certain people doing things to children and whatnot. And, I don't think they realize, or maybe they do, the effect on the children. I mean, you know what I mean? Yeah. I mean, most adults who are a little off the rocker is probably because of something that happened in childhood, most likely.
Mm-hmm.
Whether it's the parents or the environment around them. But yeah, no, I mean, yeah, if people realized, how important it is, I think they would probably do things differently. I know I would. There's things, after the fact that I would like to have done differently. But fortunately, most of us, when we have kids, we're still kids ourselves. So, we don't really know what we're doing. So, yeah.
Tonight, we're going to learn a little bit about this. Maybe you can shape or reason your own future. Maybe you're going to some psychiatrist right now that says, hey, you had childhood trauma. Well, we're going to dig some of that up, people. So here we go. And tonight's episode is not light entertainment. This is not background noise. This is one of the most controversial conversations that goes straight to the root of what means to be human, because tonight we are talking about childhood, and the childhood is not just something we get through. Childhood is where everything begins, and it is where the mind is formed. Yes, it is where the emotional world is wired. It is where the self is born, and every adult you have ever met, every person you admire, every person you fear, every person who feels whole, and every person who feels shattered was once a child, including you. And somewhere, learning what the world is, learning whatever life is safe, learning whether love is reliable, learning whether they matter or whether they are alone. How many of you feel alone? And here is the truth. It is our society does not want to face. The future is built inside the nervous system of children. And in the early years of life, the brain is developing faster than any other time. Millions of connections are being formed and the foundation is being poured. And just like a building, the foundation, if you do the foundation right, it's strong and the structure can rise, build a big giant building. But if the foundation is unstable, well, the structure may stand for a while, but it cracks and it appears that it may fall down and eventually something breaks. And we are living in that age where mental health struggles are everywhere. Depression, anxiety, addiction, isolation, anger, violence. And people ask, what's wrong with the world? I bet you did too. But maybe the deeper question is, what happened to the children who became this world? That's us. And because trauma does not vanish, neglect does not disappear. Abuse does not stay locked in the past. It becomes internal. It becomes a pattern. It becomes identity. It becomes the adult who cannot trust. We cannot trust. The adult who cannot feel. The adult who lives in the emptiness that we cannot name. Psychology teaches us something profound. Children do not only need food, they do not only need education. They do not need just shelter. Children need something deeper. They need to be seen. They need mirroring and affirmation that exists, that they matter. They need belonging. And what some call twinship, the feeling of I am not alone, I am part of something, and they need inspiring figures. Hopefully, they're the right ones, role models that help them grow into their own strength. Because the goal is not for a child to remain dependent on external validation. The goal is for them to internalize support and become whole self, regulating, grounded, able to live within with resilience. But those whose needs are not met, the child may grow up looking for something outside of themselves to fill the void, a person, a substance, an idol, a belief, a constant external source, because internally something never fully formed. And here is the harsh reality. When a society neglects its children, it's not just harming individuals, it's shaping generations. Neglect creates cycles. Unhealed trauma multiplies, and the wounded become adults. And the wounded adults shape the world. So tonight, it is not about blame. It is not about shame. It is about the truth. And this is about the awareness, because healing begins when we finally stop pretending. And if we want a better world, we cannot start with politics. We cannot start with ideologies. We cannot start with systems. We must start where all futures begin, with the child. This is their stolen futures, and our stolen futures, the futures we didn't even know we had. And that's the question. So let's begin.
Mm-hmm.
Nina,
yeah.
Go ahead. I know
it's
you want to voice on some of this, so let her rip.
I'm just trying to go back to some of the stuff that I've been listening to lately. I've been coming across a lot of these reels, I guess, on Instagram or whatever, and there's a lot of Gen X. I'm a Gen X, and so are you. We're talking out there now. I don't know how this came into my feed, but somehow I did. And some of them sort of just brought to my attention, like the way we grew up, that you got to remember that when we grew up, women were just sort of starting to get into the workforce. Like prior to that, women were at home with the children, you know what I mean? Teaching the children themselves. But our parents, the boomers, were sort of the first sort of, generation where moms started going out to work. But it was also before they had rules about, oh, you got to be 12 in order to stay at home by yourself and all. We didn't have the rules there. We were the test ground, I guess, for this, so we were basically neglected. We were what they called latchkey kids, which means that we had our house key around our neck on a string, which isn't that safe either. But we had the house key there because when we got home from school, there's no mother there anymore. Our mother's at work, but we didn't have the daycare and all of these other things in place yet. So we were basically unsupervised all day. You get home from school, mom's not there, there's nobody there to supervise. So what do? You go and sit in front of the boob tube. That's programming you. After you spent all day in indoctrination camp, you then go home to sit in front of the television. That's now going to tell you further visions and things that you're supposed to be thinking and feeling, you see. And so until the parents got home, so basically all day we're unsupervised, being indoctrinated. That's basically, not that it is any better today. They have the rules of daycare and whatnot now. And that's another thing that's come to my attention too, because I have kids myself, and a couple of years ago, they were complaining that, oh, daycare, man, it's costing so much money. It's not worth it for her to go back to work with 2 kids, and then all of a sudden I noticed things changed here. This is in Canada. I don't know if this is the same over there, but it changed now where it only costs you $200 a month now for daycare, even if you're making good money. $200 a month. So everybody's putting their kids in daycare. And I don't know, there's so many daycares opening up right around where I live, because I'm right in the downtown area, sort of on my little town here. And it's got to be at least 10 or 15 daycares that just popped up in the last few months here. So they've changed it now. Just a couple of years ago, we had this, the daycare thing was getting out of hand, and now they've switched it. So everybody puts their kids in daycare, whether you're working or not. You might as well. It's $200 a month. So a lot of these women are just placing them in daycares and then going home playing on the computer all day, and doing whatever it is that they're doing. They're not spending any time with the kids. They're not taking the opportunity to spend time with the kids. They just, because it's so cheap, we'll just put them in there and get them out of our hair, you see. So now the kids are being indoctrinated from the time they were born. It's not just waiting until they're 7 now. It's from the day they're born, pretty much, or at least a year old. Mm-hmm. Hopefully most women are at home for the first year. In Canada, we do get maternity leave for a year here. I know in the States you don't. You only get 6 weeks. So I'm assuming in the States, 6 weeks old, you get put into an indoctrination camp immediately, and that goes all the way up until you graduate high school, So who knows what they're telling our kids? Who knows what they're teaching our kids? Because we're not there. And I know when we were growing up, our parents didn't even ask us what we did today. Where were you today? There was, see you later. Door's locked. Can't even come home. We just grew up in a weird time, really. So, I mean, they don't even know where we were, who we were with, what we were doing. Never mind what was happening at school. I know I'm probably going on a different tangent there that you were not even going.
I was just letting you go, but you're right. Yeah. We started out in that transition world because before we came along, moms typically stayed home and took care of the kids. And if they weren't home, kids were really more responsible back in the day. They were, back out in the, the 1800s and early 1900s, these people that were living out in the sticks, they had to go out in the woods or do something. The kids stayed home and, Johnny's little, he's 8 or 9. He's going to watch his sister who's 3 or 4. And he's responsible for that. But of course, back then, there's no TV, there's no radio. There's really not a whole lot to entertain them. They had building blocks and some books to read. And, if they had to go to school, they walked. There was no the school buses coming to pick them up. They're walking. Did mom and dad walk with the kids to school? No. They walked alone, maybe sometimes miles to get to school every day and home. Kids were responsible and better. But then there was that transition. Mom's staying home. The world is getting busy. And, the kids would go out and play outside by themselves and run around the block with the other neighbor kids. And it was a leave it to beaver time, when mom's home and Wally and Beaver stay home. Then all of a sudden it started into the Brady Bunch times. And more than that, it was mom's working and dad's working. And you're right. The kids come home and they got the place to themselves for a few hours. But hey, they're still responsible. And then, of course, some kids must have screwed it up and, they had to put into laws like, oh, mom and dad are taking advantage of the responsible in this. Kids 8 years old and sis is 4 years old and you got the crazy Karens out there saying, oh, I don't think your kid shouldn't be like that. Somebody's got to be responsible watching them. Well, look what it's gone into. Now you can't even let your kid go outside without, you sitting out there watching them or somebody will call the cops on you. I mean, what, you got to put a leash on the kid? That'll be the next thing.
Unfortunately, too many children were getting hurt. Because I remember too. Yeah, can you get dinner going? Right? Get dinner. Now we're talking about it. 7, 8, 9-year-old turning on the stove. Putting. You know what I mean? Like, and it was just too many accidents. I guess. Because mom's not there now. You see, this is like I said. We were the first generation of no supervision. So we took the brunt. Quite a few of us, I guess, didn't make it, or you know what I mean? In order for those laws to come into place. You can't expect a little child to be responsible, for another child or the cooking or, these are adult things, But yeah, so unfortunately, probably a lot of people got hurt, and that's why we got all the rules we got now.
But then
So
again, I hate to say this, is like anything else, you
yeah,
know, you got those kids out there that are irresponsible, or they're, and I don't wish bad on anybody. I'm just saying is sometimes those things happen to teach, teach them a lesson. Oh, Johnny fell off the whatever and broke his arm, or something really bad happened, God forbid. But it's this idea that these things happen, and then of course people say, well, Johnny shouldn't have been up there. Somebody should have been watching him, and little by little they crack down because of people stuck their nose in other people's business. But that's how Johnny learns. But now we got nobody. We're wearing elbow pads, and the kids are all being watched, and we've taken away all the sports and things that could hurt them, and now they don't get to do anything. Hey, we'll give you a video game and a controller. Now nobody's going to get hurt ever. But of course, you've got no experience doing anything.
yeah. So this is part of the indoctrination into steering the children into the kind of adults that they want, right? And then this is why we got the television in the house. Because now that mom and dad's busy working all the time, we need somebody else to tell them the vision that we want. So yeah, the video game. I mean, I watch my kids. Okay, are that generation. That got the video games. And yeah, I got to admit, I mean, I'd rather have him sitting in his room playing video games where I know where he's at. I can hear him laughing because they have their headphones on. They're playing video games with somebody in different countries. And it's very social. You know what I mean? It's not just a video; it's a social thing as well. And I'd rather have my son there doing that than out on the streets doing whatever. You know what I mean? Like, so for me as a single mom, I didn't mind that. However, I mean, but then again, I also took him to all the sports. We did all that. And so that was, on me, right? To 6 a.m. hockey practice and soccer practice and baseball. I mean, they did all of that, on top of that. So, they got their sports and that sort of thing, sportsmanship and, that kind of thing as well. But yeah, and then again, now that that's all gone and done. Now that I'm looking back at the video games that my kids were playing, we're literally indoctrinating them for the time that we're in right now.
Yeah.
Okay, divide and conquer. I mean, that's exactly what's happening in the world right now. What we've been doing, like all of this, and getting that dexterity of shooting and all that, because everything's going to be online soon. So if your children aren't able to do all that, because I remember my kid would have a video game going, and then he'll have another screen over here with the social media going, and he'll be doing that at the same time. And at the same time, he's got this going on, so you got conversation, and then he's got the TV going over here. So you got all these things going on. And if the kids weren't doing that, they wouldn't be able to keep up with this stuff today.
Yeah.
So they're teaching them the ways of today. Nowadays, I mean, this is how you can be fighting wars now. It's through video games. It's just that they don't realize it's going to be live, but that's with drones and everything. This is how they're doing it now. So if you're not adept with the video game, you're not going to be able to operate the drones properly. You're not going to be able to do all that stuff. So that's kind of where it's gone, right? So
yeah, but again, you're is that a good thing? That's the question. Is it a good thing? Shouldn't that, back in the day, instead of setting them in front of a TV, should they not have had some crayons and some pencils and be making artistic works on a piece of paper, or maybe learning to play an instrument? Or I remember when I was a kid, hey, you're bored, go draw a picture. Make something. Take some blocks and.
Well, they do that. We did that too. Like, I can only speak for myself here, but and I have boys, so boys aren't really into arts and crafts as much. But yeah, no, I did that with my kids. We made our own birthday cards. They sit and draw it all out for, and stuff like that. And so they did all that. And like I said, we did all the sports. And we lived on a farm for 9 years, a good decade. So that was their majority of their young life, I guess. And so they got to have the pets and the chickens and the gardens. So my kids got pretty much a good mix of everything, I would say, because, we were mindful that way. And we were also more redneck. So we would take them out. We liked being around a fire, cutting firewood, going camping, hunting. My kids hunt, they fish. They know all that stuff, but they also know the video games. I think my kids maybe were a little bit better off, honestly, because we got more rounded a life. Yeah, I guess. Yeah.
But not all kids get that, because
not all kids get that. You're right. And and it depends on the parents. If the parents don't know how to do it, they're not going to be able to teach their children. And so you know what I mean? Yeah.
Let me pry into your life just a little bit, if you don't mind. Okay, so you raised your kids, they were well-rounded, and that is all great. And now I know you're a grandma and you got grandkids. How are those kids being going to grow up different? And how are they starting out different than your kids were, having chickens and whatever, and having a little learning all that stuff, doing the sports and things? Well, maybe they don't have a farm, and maybe they don't have this stuff. Are they going to just play video games and watch television?
Unfortunately, the way society's gone on, like, I was very fortunate. I think I was probably one of the last generations of women to be able to stay at home. My husband made pretty good money, and so I was able to stay at home. I didn't go back to school until my youngest was in grade 1. So I was always there when they were little. So that's probably a huge difference there. Women nowadays, they don't have a choice now. The mortgage, the rent, everything is so expensive. You have to have 2 people working now. So the kids are in daycare pretty much in the States. It'll be from 6 weeks. Here in Canada, if you're lucky, you get a year maternity. But from that time on, they're in an indoctrination camp all day long. Some are dropped off at 6 in the morning and they get picked up at 6 at night. A lot of kids. That's their life. And then you come home, eat dinner, have a bath, go to bed. That's it. That's the only time you see your parents, is for that short 2 hours in the evening. That's it. Weekends, well, now you got to catch up on chores, all the chores that you didn't do throughout the week. Now you got to do that on the weekend. So there's no family time. There's no downtime. There's none of that. It's a whole different time now than it was even just in my time, which wasn't that long ago, but I guess it is now. But, I think I was one of I lived in the best time. I got to do both. I got to work and go to school and do all these things that women like to do. But at the same time, I was able to stay at home and I was able to do everything. So I feel very fortunate, actually, that I was able to do that. I don't regret staying at home with the kids at all. I'm glad that I was able to do that. Because you're right. So I was able to teach them, you see. So that's the difference between kids nowadays and previous generations, that mom had those first 7 years of your life to teach you whatever, you know what I mean? So
so your kids got a well-rounded thing, but now it's like you said, mom has to go to work, so kids go get put in daycare. When they get home, mom's doing a few things around the house, and she sits in front of a TV. Here's some TV, watch it.
She doesn't have time to that until after the kids go to bed, unfortunately. So
no,
as soon as you get home, you got to start on dinner, and then you have a bath, and then you go to bed.
What are the kids doing in the meantime?
The kids are just getting home from daycare now. So now they got to catch up on schoolwork. You got to do your homework. If you are learning an instrument, you need to take time to do that. My kids also did that. My son used to play guitar, and he was in a band there for a bit, and all this. This all takes time as well. That's usually done during the day after school. But if mom's working till 6, 7 o'clock at night, now you got to try and cram all that in too, right? Because daycare, they don't. I don't think follow up too much on the homework. I don't know. It's been a while since I've been out there, but it's there's no mom doesn't get to sit down until the kids are in bed. Maybe for an hour, and then she's got to go to bed and start all over again. You got to get up at 5 in the morning in order to get to daycare at 6:30. So Yeah, it's not a life. You see, this is the thing about, now you're so busy, and this is all done on purpose, that you have no time to sit and think. No
Yeah,
time to contemplate philosophy. What's that?
yeah.
Like, that's all,
Well,
and that's done on purpose so that we don't realize what's going on,
yeah.
you
Well,
know?
and I agree on that, but uh, as you aren't teaching the children now, the children, they're not spending it with you, but who's teaching them the philosophy that you should be teaching them? That daycare person, or when you get home, well, mom's cooking dinner, and now what am I going to do? Well, I'm going to sit in front of TV. I got a little bit of homework to do, but hey, it's on the computer, so I'm doing screen time, and then when screen time's over here, mom's got dinner ready, and then I go to bed. And then I get up in the morning and I go to school, and I got more screen time and school time, and they indoctrinate me into all of these things. And then I come home and we repeat the process. And are the kids doing sports like they used to? I'm not sure. They're cutting programs in schools. A lot of schools are, because the kids either can't be interested, the parents can't afford it, because to do a sport or something, the school used to pay for all that stuff, but now it's so expensive, the parents have got to flip the bill for a lot of those things, and they don't
Yeah,
have
no,
the money for it.
usually sports is after school, and that's not part of the curriculum. That's on top of that, and in school you'll have gym. You
Yep.
have to, you got to stretch out. I mean, you can't sit there for that long. So they got to give them playtime. So that's why you got recess. You're supposed to go out there. And when I was in recess back in our day, we were exercising, like, but we didn't think of it as exercise, but like skipping rope or jumping elastic bands, or whatever, we were always very active. And I've noticed kids nowadays, not so much. They're getting a lot more lazy. They're used to sitting there now. Their
Mm-hmm.
necks are getting all crooked because they're always looking down, and
Yeah.
stuff like that. So, and obesity with our food, but everything though has been done deliberately. That's the thing that I have a problem with. It's one thing if we naturally evolve somehow into certain things. That's one thing. But this is not natural. Nothing about it is natural. It's all done on purpose. There's
Yeah.
you know what I mean? And so now we've gotten to, obesity with the food, unhealthy, kids are dying of heart attacks now, like, and they're not moving around as much as we used to, and so,
Well, yeah, like you
yeah,
said,
it's,
the kids are coming home, and if they do a sport or not, it doesn't matter, because when they get home, there's no yard and no farm, no chores to do. And I want to go outside, Ma. Well, you can't go outside because I can't watch you, so you stay in the house. Well, what do I do now? Well, watch TV, play on your computer, play some video games, because it's safe. And yeah, and then I think back, how were we indoctrinated when we were young? We think, oh boy, nobody was indoctrinating us, but they
the
were.
TV. The TV
TV.
came in the 50s. So anybody that's, up in age, well, I mean, there's nobody left. Like, I mean, I grew up in Europe, so we didn't have as much TV. We had the TV in the house, but we only had a half an hour of children's program every day from 5:30 to 6. That was it. That was
Yeah.
it, though. See, so so if you grew up in North America, I hate to say it, but it was an experiment, and is pretty much an experiment of indulgence. I would say that's the word for America. Everything has to be bigger and better and more
Mm-hmm.
and more. There's never enough. You can't get enough, right? So all of a sudden you got TV 24 hours now, instead of having a controlled certain time for certain, you know what I mean? That's how it should be with
Yeah, back in
educational
the day,
programs. And,
we had
you
three
know,
channels, three, and the
we
kids
had one.
programs
We
were
had
early.
When I was growing, it was one channel. That's it. There was no choices at all, and there was no commercials either. So that's another thing North America brought into our culture again with all these commercials, and that talk about indoctrination there.
Oh,
I
yeah.
mean, and it's all pharmaceutical ads that we don't even know what it's for. But oh boy, it looks fine. It looks like a great thing. Maybe I should ask my doctor about that.
Yeah.
You know
Yeah.
what I mean?
Do you have depression? Do you have these symptoms? Ask about the little blue
Well, I
pill.
have
Or
no idea what it's for, but it looks good on TV. So I'm going to
yeah,
ask my doctor about that. And of course, he gets money if he prescribes that to me. So of course oh yeah, you need these for sure. Try these out. Oh yeah, yeah.
yeah,
So,
exactly. And he's making money, and you
yeah.
see on the commercial how happy these people are
Oh
after they're
yeah.
taking it.
Life
Oh
is so
boy,
much better if you take that, whatever that is. You don't know what it's for, but hey, it looks good. So, oh yeah. So, the commercials and yeah, yeah,
I know.
that thing should be gone. That was deliberately done to us as well to
And
hurry
it was
things up at the last end here because we're at the
it
last
it's been a drip,
stretch.
drip, drip. That's what it's all about. It's drip, drip, and you don't notice it. Like when we were
Yeah.
growing up, they had you had one channel, we had three, and it was a drip. Like, oh, these programs are good and healthy. You'd think but inside, like Disney, Walt Disney, you start looking at these stories. Snow White and the Seven Dwarves, and Pinocchio and stuff, and now, 60 years later, they're saying, did you see what's in there? Did you really look at the plot?
I know.
Did
It's
you
disgusting.
really invest?
I know. I am pissed off about that. Like we didn't know. We were very innocent. I had no idea what these people were up to and what they were doing, that we do now. So that's
Yeah,
one thing about the internet, I gotta say, it woke us up. But, yeah. And then you go back and watch like Pinocchio, like you mentioned, Pleasure Island. Really? Sending
mm-hmm.
the children to Pleasure Island. Now we know what that's all about, but back then, whatever.
Yeah,
I didn't even think about it. And now with the Disney, all the stuff about Disney's coming out and the Disney Club and what's going on underneath Disney World. They said that what people don't realize is there's a whole underground world underneath our feet. I mean, there's
yeah,
hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of people going missing every year.
yeah,
And you
yeah,
never find the bodies.
yeah. Children especially go missing all the time, and
Yep.
and
Yep.
and we have to wonder what's this all about, and
Mm-hmm.
and
Yeah.
why do they pick up these children? Because, well, you can take a child, and again, you can indoctrinate them. You can put him in a different place, fill his brain full of stuff. You can change his name, his culture, his everything, and he comes out of whatever program you put him in a new and totally different person, maybe even with different parents, and he's okay. You don't remember anything because, again, like it says, the brain is just forming, and we know that. Of course, you can do that right in your own home if you got kids and you abuse them and you neglect them, and they get trauma from a person yelling at them or beating them or whatever like that, and they get anxiety, they can get addiction, PTSD. We don't even know it, and then that comes out of them as an adult. When they get to be an adult and they become a violent person, they go, why are you so violent? Oh, I don't know. I'm just, well, apparently you were beaten by your parents or something, and this is how it comes out of you because you think that's normal. That's a normal response.
Yeah, unfortunately, and I hate to say it because this might trigger some people, but the apple doesn't fall too far from the tree. Okay,
Yeah.
for one. Second of all, yeah, you just keep breeding. So if somebody's abused, right, and they don't get, helped, I guess, or whatever you want to call it, yeah, they're just going to project that onto their kids, and then so on and so forth, and they just that whole cycle just keeps going and going and going. And back in the day, that's one thing. Like back in the day, people didn't talk about things like that. I mean, even your bodily functions, we didn't talk about that either. Everything was taboo. We couldn't talk about nothing, and so never mind sexual abuse or anything going on, whether it's at home or at school or anywhere else. We didn't talk about it. So a lot of kids were abused, and a lot of boys actually they definitely didn't talk about it, with coaches and, all of this stuff is coming out now, unfortunately. And then all of these jobs like Disneyland, like we're talking about, school teachers, anything to do with kids, unfortunately attract the pedophile people, you know what I mean? And so, and who was talking? Oh, like child services, all these places. That's where they migrate to, and that they bring their, stuff with them. And so this is what's happened to us. Yeah. You got these people in place in place of authority and stuff like that. And it's just gotten, disgusting. But
I know. So now we covered a lot of this stuff about our childhoods and the future childhoods, but how do we fix all this stuff? Well, it's with supportive communities, healthier education for these kids, but and environments where children feel safe, they feel included. You gotta, we don't think about that stuff sometimes. We just automatically think that the kids are, well, they're in a safe environment, they're in school, but does that really mean that they're safe there? Does it really mean that they're getting a healthy education? Are they getting healthy food or just something out of a cardboard box and added water to? Is that really healthy food?
Well, look, apparently that is changing now. So apparently Michelle Obama took out the whole milk out of the school. Took it out. Oh yeah, whole milk is too fatty for you. You don't need that. So they put skim milk in. Well, so for the last 15 years, this is a whole generation here now. Mm-hmm. Kids, they just didn't drink the milk because nobody likes skim milk. They didn't drink it, so they reached for the pop instead. So this has been part of the problem. And now with Kennedy coming in and changing the food guideline, I mean, thank God for that. Now they're bringing back in the whole milk. They're bringing in the more. So things are going to be changing now. But I don't understand how, we let things go the way we did for as long as we did, and how we agreed. And this is the problem. There's too many yes people out there who just go along with whatever people say around them, whether it's your boss, your teacher, I don't care who it is. You got to question. You got to think for yourself, is this healthy or is this healthy? And don't just go along with it. And that's, unfortunately, we have a whole world of a bunch of yes people who are too afraid to stand up for the children, stand up for themselves, and stand up for what's right. And so now I'm really excited about the changes that are coming, but it's a little too late though for the young people nowadays who grew up that way.
Yeah.
You
got a whole generation there.
Generation. Yeah. Mm-hmm. We're drinking Monster drinks instead of milk because she changed it to skim. Yep. Okay. So, yeah.
Oh, what is that there you got? A nice cup? Oh.
That's right. Drink your milk out of there.
Our halftime.
Coffee, a little cream.
There you go, Beyond Truth Cup. And this is the Milky Way Soul Tribe, Native American Myths and Legends with Robert and David, the best storyteller on YouTube Cup. And get yours today. Get your shirts like the Milky Way Soul Tribe. That's how we pay the bills around here. And advertise to other people. It'll attract attention. Go get yours. There's also Ana Karana stuff. And what about your sticker deal? Tell us about that.
So if you order from the merch store doesn't have the sticker pack in it. That is something that's coming from me. So if you make a purchase in the merch store, just email me, okay? It's NinoTheMystic68@gmail.com, and tell me your email, or not your email, your mailing address, okay? And I will send you a sticker pack. So it is separate from the merch store. I think it's maybe some confusion. I think it was Elderberry. He was wondering, where's the stickers? Oh, you have to email me for those. He hasn't done that yet. So if you're listening, just email me, okay? And I will send that out to you. It comes in a regular envelope, so it's not going to be any problems with the border or tariffs or anything like that. The merch store is in the US too, by the way. It's not in Canada. Most of you are in the US, so no worries. You can order. There's no problems with shipping or anything like that. It's all coming from the US if you're ordering from North America. If you're ordering in Europe, we have another shipment thing there in Europe. So Europe will also have cheap. It's just Canada that kind of gets the shaft on that one there with the shipping. But what do you do?
But the
Yeah.
sticker pack is like a bonus. It's
Yeah,
like
so that's like a bonus. That's right. If you're interested, I think I don't think I have them here now. I think they're right there, but it's 4 different stickers. Just a cute little Onto Corona stickers.
yeah.
Yeah, basically from my channel. It's just,
Yeah.
for a lot of people collect stickers, right? So
Mhm.
yeah, it's fun to have. A little
They're
extra
fun to have.
bonus. Yeah.
Exactly. A little extra bonus from you for purchasing Milky Way Soul Tribe shirts, Beyond Truth, mugs,
Yeah.
t-shirts,
Shirts,
hoodies. You
hoodies.
got
Yeah.
everything there.
Yeah.
Little mugs like this. I know you got different ones now, but there was ones
It's
like
a
this.
white now. I don't know why. Yeah, that was from a different merch company that I went with. So they have the stainless, but the new ones, they are stainless steel, but they have the white cover or whatever you want to call it
Like
on
in the
the
name.
outside of it, protective film or something like that. Yeah, on it. So yeah, they work really well. Like if you put hot water in one of those in the morning, it's still hot in the evening. Like great for camping, you know what I mean? In the morning, boil the water, put it in there, come back from your day. It's still hot and you can wash up or make tea or whatever. It works really well. So go check it out. Links are down in the description there, guys.
Absolutely. So back to the show. And so now, how do we develop these children? How do we get them out? We get things out of the thing. We need people to do, children need mirroring. They like to imitate. That's how they kind of learn. You got to give children, tell them about affirmation and praise, and give them some self-esteem. Children need connection, and this isn't just from me. This is from top people psychologists who tell about these things. Core development needs that children need, which is being praised. Children need connection. Not only with their parents, but with other kids. They need to play with other kids. They need to do things with other people to have that social connection, and not over a screen of a video game, or I'm talking to Joey. He's in Thailand. Well, that really that's not doesn't count, because you're not interacting. Like you were saying earlier, those kids went to sports and they went to hockey and they interacted with those kids and whatever else. And then we need the one big thing. Children need inspiring figures that must be internalized as a role model. And who's that role model? Used to be the kid's role model was mom or dad. The strongest man I ever knew. I want to be like dad. He goes to work and works hard, and he's honest and this and that and blah blah blah. I want to be like my dad or my grandpa or whatever. But no, today I want to be like some baseball player.
Yeah, some idol or something. Yeah, I know.
The guy on whatever, some goofy jackass show, kind of thing, where
YouTuber or something. That's huge. Yeah, I know. Yeah, I know. It's the thing is that I know this is going to sound like we're going backwards, but we do kind of need to go backwards a little bit in order to get things back normal. I don't know what normal is. It's hard to know because, as humans, as humanity, okay, we've gone through so many hardships. We've, like, those of us who have survived up to now, like, pat yourself on the back, because we've been through a lot, as humanity. I know here locally we have, like, homeschooling is where it's at. Okay. And I hate to say it because a lot of women are like, no way, I'm not doing that. A lot of women, they had to do it in 2020 and they hated it. They absolutely hated it. A lot of women don't want to be at home nurturing kids, teaching kids and all that kind of stuff. And so, parenthood isn't for everyone. So that's one thing. And that's one thing that we need to get into our brains, because there's a lot of people out there that should not be parents because they got some screwed up kids. Okay. So I hate to tell you. So that's one. And I do believe that's coming in the future. And this is why fertility is going down. There's a reason for that. That's been done on purpose as well. We're not going to be able to have children the way we've had them. They're going to be all done in the lab from now on. And then that way, We don't have to worry about diseases. We don't have to worry about any of these things. Birth defect, there'll be none of that. No more clients. Okay, I hate to say it. I'm triggering people here. It's going to be perfectly healthy people born that way. Okay, and so that's the way it's going. But for right now, as we're here right now, we need to go back to homeschooling. We have a program here called the Outdoor School. So what they do, because yes, you do need to socialize. That's one thing about homeschooling that might be lacking if you don't have kids right around you, especially if you're out in the farmland. You got no neighbors, you got nothing around there, nobody to play with. You're going to have to drive then. So like in my little town here, of course, we do have a lot of, neighbors and stuff like that, but they would take the kids and go to the parks, and they all meet up there, and you're all running around playing. You might be, maybe you go fishing one day, do some gardening one day, and you're teaching social skills as well as practical skills, and the whole growing thing, teaching kids how to grow food, how to preserve food, how to live off grid is going to be the most valuable education you could possibly give to your kids. Okay. And going sort of back to more of that way of living, which might seem like we're going backwards, but I do believe it's just going to be a temporary little situation until we figure out where to go with the technology that we have. What's going to be the healthiest way for humanity as a whole, as to how much technology is going to be good for us, because too much, not good. We get too lazy, too complacent. Like, we do need to have some chores. We need, and he said, like, growing something. It's to me, like, I love gardening and seeing that seed sprout and seeing it grow. I know kids love it too, but they just don't have the access to it. To see things grow and see nature, how it is in nature, and just all of that. That's kind of where we need to go back to, and forget about all these childhood stories that we're telling our kids. We're going to have to scrap all that stuff. That's going to be gone. Now, that's what we need to bookmark. Hansel and Gretel, come on. Right? Yeah. When we know what's going on nowadays, we never thought about, why would the witch want to steal the children? Like, what's going on? Like, we never thought about it because we were so innocent back in the day. But now we know, and, there's just a lot of things that need to be ripped out, gone. Go back to some of the old ways until we can figure out, okay, what's going to be the healthiest way to move forward. That's my stand on it.
No, I totally agree. Back in the day, all my buddies and people I know, well, what'd you do when you were a kid? Well, we went on a family vacation, and we went camping, and we went to Yellowstone, and we went fishing, and blah blah blah. We had family reunions at the park, and we camped out, we roasted a hog, and blah blah blah. Outside, and played with other people. Kids. We played volleyball and played horseshoes and things like that. And well, guess what? Now the outdoors is bad. Now you don't take your kids and go to the park and go camping for a family vacation. You go to the water park. It's all enclosed, no bugs, air conditioning, perfect temperature. You can ride. I remember back in Wisconsin, you could ride the Ferris wheel right inside, and you could play all kinds of games, everything from laser tag, and they had these things there, and the water slides, and you name it, they had it all indoors, 24/7, summer, winter, fall, whatever. It was all right there. You can go to the movies, and then go to a theater, and then and you could go to get food, and then go play golf, mini golf right there.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking, well, this isn't no fun, because once those parks opened up like that, and there was multiple ones by where I was, you're staying in the hotel, and you never had to leave the hotel. It was all enclosed, all in one area. And then nobody was going to the other things. So all the other things that were going on, like the horseback riding, the adventures outside, the zip lining, the bumper cars and things, anything that was outdoors went downhill till they could barely stay in business, because nobody wanted to go outside to do those things.
This is all done on purpose, Robert. This is what you just described there, is getting us used to the concept of a 15-minute smart city.
Mm-hmm.
Because that's exactly what it's going to be like. You're going to be able to go golfing, you want to do this and do that, but it's all within 15 minutes though. Okay, there's no more going real horseback riding. Oh no, in a 15-minute city we got like a fake horse that we get to ride over there. It's the same experience. So this is grooming, and we've been groomed from the day we were born, okay, for what's coming here.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, and people feel safe. You see, oh yeah, there's no bugs, there's no scary animals or perverts or whatever it is that you're worried about, right? You're indoor, you don't have to worry about the rain, and all of this, all these things that are, can be a little bit annoying when you're out there, I guess. I mean, but that's part of the fun, it's trying to weather the storm or, chasing a storm, whatever, like things like that. I mean, that's part of life, isn't it? But so they're grooming us to want to be in a sterile environment.
Yeah.
Getting us used to the 15-minute cities, getting us used to the tiny homes. I notice that's huge on the rise now. Advertisement, all the social media, it's like every second one is like tiny home. Like I haven't looked those up. Why are you showing me all these tiny homes all the time? Right? But to get me used to the concept of this is the amount of space that you should be having. You see, as a single person, we should only have, what's used to be considered probably one bedroom. That's your whole place now. You see, it's grooming us so we get used to these concepts because this is what they have planned for us, right? So,
No, I totally get that. And we got to move away from all of this stuff. Take the kids camping, get them outside. What's happening is these kids that are sitting on the TV and the computer, they're becoming instead of mentoring being your dad or your mom as your idol, not your idol, but your person that you want to be like. They got celebrities, and they become dependent on things like drugs. Well, we took the kid in because he's always depressed, and the doctor said, give him this purple pill. And well, it'll make him happy again. Well, he's all like this, and he's drooling out of his mouth. But while he's not causing a fuss, he's happy. And of course,
did you know that these pharmaceutical drugs that they're giving to children, those are gateway drugs for other drugs, okay? Because if you give a child gets used to just, I don't feel good, I'm just going to pop a pill. It makes me feel better. Well, what do you think that child's going to do when he's a teenager? Yeah. Oh, I'll just pop another pill. I'll make me feel, or I'll smoke this or inject that or whatever. And I've seen that in my own family, actually. Pretty sad how they put him on drugs as a young kid. And then sure enough, migrated over to the hard stuff when he got a little bit older. Yeah.
Yeah. So instead of, with all of that stuff, instead of replacing, having that replacing inner development, becoming better you, we're replacing with external, like you said, the extra drugs, celebrities, all that other stuff is becoming who we are, not who we really are. And how do we change this? And, how do we inspire kids to do things? We need to inspire them with more self-expression, because who are you, kid? Well, they can express themselves with music, painting, dancing.
Yeah. Well, the thing is that you can tell children till you're blue in the face. It doesn't matter. Children will do what they see. So if they see you sitting there on the phone all day, you're probably spending way more time. And I've seen this. You're at the park and the mother's sitting there on her phone, not paying attention at all to the kid at all. Don't even know if it's safe or not, really. Wouldn't even know if it's still in the park, and so that's what the kid is seeing. If the kid sees that, oh, this phone is worth more than me. This phone is, my mom thinks that this phone is more important than I am. Okay. Then what do you think that kid's going to want? What's the first thing that kid's always going to want? It's going to be to get their own phone, to get their own laptop, to get their own whatever it is that mom and dad are doing all the time.
These kids, a lot of these kids are getting that phone when they're young, not when
babies.
They're 18.
Babies.
Yeah. You're 10.
And
You
we've used it too. Like, say my grandson is upset over something. He gets in a tantrum. Well, we know that he loves animals. Very quick, go and find a funny animal. There's this one particular one that's a donkey that does his weird things and whatever. You show him that. Oh, that just changes his mood. So we you can use the, things for good things as well, but you don't let him sit on there. Just show him that to get him out of that funk or whatever it was, and then put it away again. But, so there's pros and cons with all of this. But it's that phone thing I've seen. I mean, I look around anywhere, nobody's looking at each other anymore, nobody's being social anymore, and everybody's just either looking down at the ground or looking at their phone, one or the other. Nobody wants to like eye contact.
When we had a Christmas dinner meeting at work, where you can come in and get some food and whatever, and here's everybody. They're all sitting at tables like this,
with their phone,
and with their phone, and they're talking. Okay, and then they're eating. They're looking at the other people. How you doing? It's
no, I know it's everywhere.
What are you freaking doing? You're here to socialize, and then you come in for this extra few minutes, and you're on your phone. You're doing this.
Yeah, and there's nothing on there. Nothing but ads. That's all it is, where they're indoctrinating you.
What are you doing, dude? What are you doing? Oh, I'm popping bubbles. I'm like, what?
Popping bubbles.
Yeah. I'm like,
yeah. I know. Well, and so,
what are you doing? I'm popping bubbles. I'm like,
I'm popping bubbles. Okay, well,
And another guy, well, what are you doing? Well, we got this thing. We're all playing pool on our phone. We're playing pool. I shoot, and then another guy, and then I don't know how it worked or whatever. But and then the other day, even a guy was talking to me, and he was talking about something. And what did he refer to everything to? Video game. And I'm like, I have no idea what he's talking about. But that he explained to me something about the way things work, how video games work. And I'm like,
well, to be honest with you, they tell you a lot in the video games as well as the Netflix shows. I'm right in the middle of watching one right now, to be honest with you, and I'm like blown away. There's so many things in that thing, and one of those. So it's about timelines and stuff. This one timeline, every child, and going back to this show, has 6 parents.
Oh, jeez.
Every child. So you very few people are allowed to have children in this timeline. And but when there is a child born, because there wasn't very many, because the fertility's gone, it's very, very eerie. Okay, every child though has 6 parents, and they're all married too, by the way, all 6 adults. So there's like group sex every night and all this kind of stuff. Yeah, anyways, it could be good, it could be bad, I don't know, but it just shows you though that they thought of that. It does take a village to raise a child, not just 2 people, especially if the 2 of you are working all the time. Like, who's taking care of the kid? They're not the parents. So with these, there was one guy that was the provider, and they all had different roles. One took care of the cooking, one took care of this. So all the things were taken care of for the child and the whole family. And it actually looked like it worked pretty good, as long as you all get along, obviously. But I thought that was very interesting that they brought that up. But another thing too, the villain in this thing has uploaded his consciousness to the machine, or whatever you want to call it. And he has this new program he's come out with where people are going to go to Mars. Except people don't realize that Mars stands for something else. It's about uploading the consciousness. So basically, they think they're going to Mars. They go into this thing and they kill you and take your consciousness. And now everybody's uploaded to essentially in our world, in the real world here, it's called the metaverse. So I thought that was very interesting concept there. I hope that that's not actually a real theory that they're planning on doing, but it wouldn't surprise me.
It could be,
It wouldn't surprise me. Instead of just depopulating, why not take our consciousness that way? Because you have a whole, and in this metaverse or whatever you want to call it, I can't remember what they called it, but here you have everything you think of. So I want to go to the park. Boom, you're in the park. And it looks just like it was when you were a kid. Say you remember going to this one park that had this great ice cream truck over here, or they had a really good taco truck. I want to go back to that, and boom, you're there. and everybody that you want to be with is there, and you're, and you can go wherever you want and do whatever you want inside this thing, but you're just a holograph essentially. Now you just uploaded your consciousness. So I thought, wow. So that's the thing. You got to pay attention to these movies and video games and all, because they're telling you their plans. Now, whether those plans work out 100%, that's, probably not. I mean, most things don't. They'll tell you the plans and then see how well we go along with that. You see how many people actually like excited about that concept versus those who are not so excited. And your phone, everything that we're connected to will listen, and they can tell on your expressions of whether or not you like this or not. This is how your phone works. You don't have to say a darn thing. When that commercial comes up, they'll know whether you like it or not. And if you don't, you won't get as many of those. But if they see a smile on your face, oh, she likes that. More of that, more, you know what I mean? So this is how they do their plans, is according to how well it's perceived, essentially, which they know from your phone. So
absolutely. Yeah. Well, that's how we fix it, is know their plan. And with that, we're gonna wrap this up. Thank you for being on. Remember, everybody, go out and do something great out there. Spend some time with your children. Remember, your childhood trauma was created by somebody else, and it's not that. So remember to be the frequency you want to receive, everybody. Love y'all. Peace, everyone.
Bye.